2 a.m., Ouagadougou slept. But in the presidential palace, alarms were ringing. French banks halt all transfers to Burkina Faso. IMF suspends loan disbursement. CFA Franc reserves vanish from screens. President Ibrahim Traoré stood still, staring at the data. "This is not economics," he whispered. "This is war." Then he turned to his cabinet and changed Africa's history. He slammed the file down. "We've begged long enough. Even our money lives in Paris." His voice was calm, but fire flickered underneath. "We're ending the CFA Franc. Tonight." Silence. His finance minister stammered. This is suicide." "No," Traoré replied. "This is freedom. And I'm done asking for it." "How much do we actually own?" he asked. Dr. Connaught cleared her throat. $400 million in reserves, mostly frozen in French accounts. "And our gold?" 78 tons, but stored overseas. "Also in France." Traoré chuckled bitterly. "We're rich, but in someone else's vault." "Not anymore." He opened a red folder, stamped, Operation Sankara. 3 months of planning, Traoré said. A new currency, gold-backed. Printed in Burkina Faso, mined by us, used by us. His ministers gasped. "It's ready?" Traoré smiled. He pulled a golden coin from his pocket, a baobab tree on one side, Burkina Faso's map on the other. "This isn't just about money. It's about dignity." For too long, African nations printed paper they didn't own. If you believe it's time to write our own destiny, leave a comment. Say we stand with Ibrahim, because history belongs to those who dare to rewrite it. "Foreign companies control our gold," said Dr. Connaught. "Not anymore," Traoré replied. The room went silent. "When did you nationalize them?" 3 hours ago, he said calmly. "The army is taking control as we speak. No shots, no threats. Just escorting them to the border. It wasn't just bold. It was genius." "They'll crush us with sanctions," Connaught warned. "Let them try," Traoré replied. "We've signed deals with 6 countries. China, Russia, Turkey, India, Brazil, Iran." He tapped the screen. "Direct trade. Gold for goods. No dollars, no euros." The room was breathless. They thought they were playing checkers. Traoré was playing chess. He opened a new file, digital wallet designs. "No more banks," he said. "Every citizen gets a phone app. Gold-backed digital money, secure, offline-capable, zero fees." The finance minister shook his head. This is crazy." Traoré grinned. "It's not crazy. It's ours." At 3:30 a.m., the connection was live. On screen, presidents from Mali, Niger, Guinea, Togo, Benin. "All of us got cut off tonight," Traoré said. "But together we rise." He showed the coin. They nodded. The CFA was collapsing. But something stronger was rising in its place. A coin made of gold. A currency born in courage. A future held by no foreign hand. This is not fiction. This is Africa waking up. Drop a comment. Goodbye CFA. Hello Burkina Gold. Let the world know. We won't ask permission to be free. "It's too early," an advisor said. "People are sleeping." "They need to wake up with pride, not panic," Traoré replied. At 6:30 a.m., national television cut its programming. President Ibrahim Traoré appeared in full uniform, his face calm, his voice steady, and in his hand, a coin that would shake the world. "People of Burkina Faso," he began. "Tonight, French banks and Western institutions launched an economic war on us. They froze our money. They tried to force our silence. But we are not afraid." He held up the golden coin. "This is Burkina gold, backed by our own resources. This is the day we take back control." Then he lifted a smartphone. "This is the Burkina digital wallet," he said. "Every citizen will receive one free, your gold. In your hand, no banks, no foreign control." Viewers across the country gasped. Was it real? Could it work? Some feared it, but many felt something new. Hope. He smiled softly. "No one will lose. Your CFA money will convert to Burkina gold at double the rate. You'll gain, not suffer." Cries of disbelief and joy rippled through neighborhoods. A revolution was happening, not with blood, but with code. Not with guns, but with gold. Paris, 7:45 a.m. French Central Bank. Panic. 6 nations just left the system, and the app millions have downloaded it. No bank runs, no chaos. They're adapting. The president of the bank reached for the phone. "Call the Ministry of Finance." "They're already calling," his assistant replied. "They're terrified. Military base leases revoked, mining contracts canceled, energy agreements frozen." France's hold on West Africa was slipping. "This isn't rebellion," a diplomat muttered. "This is a chain reaction." And it had already spread beyond control. In Ouagadougou's streets, no panic. Just groups of people comparing apps, learning to send gold, teaching neighbors, even elders. "This is mine?" one old man asked. "Yes," said a student. "Truly yours. No one can freeze it. No one can steal it." And in that moment, Burkina Faso woke up. Ghana, Congo, Senegal. Chatter began. "Can we join? How does it work?" The CFA Franc was bleeding, but the African gold was shining. It wasn't just a currency anymore, it was a symbol. And symbols are unstoppable. Western media launched its counterattack. Traoré destroys economy. Gold experiment doomed. Burkina Faso faces collapse. But on the streets, markets stayed open. Prices stayed stable. And support messages poured in. India, Brazil, Russia, Turkey. The old world was watching and losing grip. This isn't just a story. It's a mirror of what can happen when one nation stands up, when one man says, "No more." If this inspired you, comment "Burkina will rise." Share this with someone who still believes Africa must ask permission, because we don't ask anymore. We act. In Moscow, the red phone rang. "Burkina Faso launched a gold-backed currency?" "Yes, sir." "And it's working?" "Very well." The Russian president smiled. "Get Traoré on the list. We want him at the next BRICS summit." Africa wasn't just changing, it was leading. Days later, Traoré stood before leaders of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. "We abandoned gold 50 years ago," one said. "You brought it back with blockchain," Traoré answered. "We're not going back. We're going forward with our own rules." The room went silent. Respect had replaced doubt. Back in Paris, the French media panicked. Headlines screamed, "Burkina Faso's dangerous gamble. France loses grip in Africa." Diplomats scrambled to reassure partners. But no one was listening. For the first time in decades, Africa wasn't following. It was leading. Dr. Connaught burst into the office, breathless. "Mr. President, 4 million users in 1 week. 2 million transactions daily." Traoré leaned back, smiling. "The people have chosen, and the world couldn't ignore it." In a small village, an old farmer held a phone. "I don't know how to use this," he whispered. Traoré knelt beside him. "Let me show you." He tapped the app. "This is your gold. No one can touch it but you." The man's eyes welled with tears. "For the first time, I feel rich." Ghana's finance minister announced a review of the CFA system. Congo's parliament began digital currency discussions. Young Africans took to TikTok, explaining how the app worked. Western experts called it anomaly. Africans called it finally. The IMF president faced cameras with a tight grin. "We are evaluating new African models," she said. Translation: "We can't stop it. Even the World Bank opened secret talks." The old system hadn't just cracked. It was leaking gold. The French president toured former colonies. He promised new partnerships, new faces, new flags. But the crowds didn't cheer. They listened politely, then downloaded the Burkina Wallet app. Loyalty can't be bought. And now it couldn't be controlled. In a school in Benin, a teacher held up a coin. "Who can tell me what this is?" A student raised her hand. "It's our money, not France's." "And what does it mean?" "That we're free." Applause filled the classroom, and something even bigger, pride. This is not a dream. It's what happens when courage meets code. When a coin is more than currency, it's a symbol. If you believe Africa's time is now, comment. Power in our hands. Share this story. Let the world see what happens when we stop asking and start building. At a press conference in Geneva, a French journalist stood up. "How do you respond to claims that your gold-backed system is dangerous?" Traoré smiled. "Dangerous for who?" Silence followed. He continued, "We've fed their economies for decades. Now we're feeding our own." Applause broke protocol. The world watched. Inflation down, imports up. Burkina Faso's economy didn't collapse. It started to grow. The African gold was now used in 9 countries. Stability, mobility, dignity. The impossible was happening. In Paris, fury boiled. "Cut development aid," someone shouted. "They don't need it," another replied. "They've replaced us." Even the most loyal African allies were silent. No one wanted to be the last to leave a sinking ship. A year later, Traoré stood at the gates of the new central bank of Burkina Faso. Behind him, gold reserves back home from Europe. Before him, thousands of citizens cheering. He spoke calmly. "For the first time in history, our wealth is on our soil." The crowd roared. History had turned. Among the crowd, an old woman wept. She stepped forward and shook his hand. "I'm Thomas Sankara's wife," she said softly. "He would have loved this." Traoré nodded. "We're finishing what he started." Her tears said what words couldn't. It was worth the wait. Young developers at the new Burkina Tech Hub released version 2.0 of the wallet. Blockchain secured. Offline mode improved. Zero data fees, all built by Africans, one girl tweeted. Not just a new currency, a new generation. Retweets flooded in. In Brussels, EU analysts reviewed African markets. Gold-backed crypto from West Africa? "It's spreading too fast," said one. "It's out of our hands," said another. They had laughed a year ago. Now they were rewriting policies and watching YouTube clips of Ouagadougou. China increased trade volume with African gold. Turkey launched agriculture exchanges. India offered medical tech in return for gold credits. The dollar wasn't gone, but it had company. And for the first time in modern finance, that company was African. A farmer's son from northern Burkina Faso bought a solar panel using the wallet. He posted it online. No paperwork, no bank, just gold. It went viral. Millions saw what one coin could mean. Not theory, not hope, but real change. They said it would crash. It didn't. They said people wouldn't trust it. They did. They said Africa couldn't lead. It's leading. If this moved you, comment. Gold is power. Share this story, because the future isn't coming. It's already here, and it speaks African. A year later, maps began to change. On the charts of currency zones, the CFA Franc zone had vanished. In its place, the United African Gold Bloc, 14 countries, one system, one voice. A quiet revolution with a golden center. At the UN podium, Traoré spoke for 4 minutes. He didn't beg. He didn't explain. He declared, "We were told to wait. We stopped waiting. Now we're building." The chamber fell silent, then erupted with applause. The IMF issued a statement. "We are studying decentralized, gold-backed alternatives." They weren't leading. They were following. Africa wasn't being taught. Africa was teaching. And the class was full. On French television, the president appeared. Africa deserves partnership, not paternalism. Too late. Even the host raised an eyebrow. How does it feel to lose 6 countries in 6 months? The reply, painful. Truth often is. Leaders from 22 African nations gathered in Kinshasa, no suits. No translators, just leaders. Languages flowed freely: Mandinka, Wolof, Swahili. Resolutions passed fast. One stood out. From today, we trade with value, not debt. A standing ovation followed. University students in Kenya, Ghana, Côte d'Ivoire began writing theses on Traoré's model. One title read, "Digital Sovereignty, the New African Freedom." The continent wasn't just catching up. It was redefining what progress looked like. An old retired banker in Switzerland read the news. He leaned back, shook his head. "They did it," he whispered. "All these years we laughed, we doubted, we controlled. But now," he smiled, "they've taken back the pen." At the new African Blockchain Institute in Ouagadougou, students built a real-time gold verification system, open source, transparent, free, designed by Africans for Africans. The classroom was full. The future was here. At night, Traoré sat alone on a balcony. He held a coin in his hand, the same coin from that long night, he whispered. "Thomas Sankara, we did it." Then he looked out at his country and saw it glowing, not with gold, but with pride. This was not fiction. This was a reflection of what could be. When courage replaces compliance, when leaders lead, not follow. If you felt this story, share it. Comment, "Africa writes its own story," because one voice changed a system, and your voice could be next.